He stayed curious, learned new things, and surrounded himself with people who believed in his talent and helped him evolve. His son Mark, who took over managing his career, played a big role in that transformation. Mark helped Tom find the right projects, avoid bad deals, and focus on what he loved most, singing. That father-son bond deepened over the years, and Tom often said he was proud of the way Mark handled both business and family responsibilities. It wasn't always easy, especially when Linda got sick and eventually passed, but they leaned on each other and found strength through their shared grief. Fans also played a huge part in Tom's long career. He always showed appreciation for the people who supported him, taking time to sign autographs, share memories, and make every performance feel personal. People who met him in real life often said he was warm, genuine, and full of charm, not just a star, but a man who treated others with kindness. That reputation helped him stay beloved, even in tough times. When critics doubted him or trends shifted away from his kind of music, Tom never panicked. He just kept going, kept singing, and kept doing what felt right. That quiet confidence helped him stand out in every decade. Whether he was wearing flashy outfits in the 60s or more laid-back clothes in his later years, he always owned the stage. And no matter how many times the spotlight shifted, he never chased trends. He let his voice, his story, and his heart do the work. In interviews, Tom reflected a lot on the deeper meaning of fame, love, and aging. He often said that his biggest lesson was to be true to yourself and to keep moving forward, no matter what life throws at you. That message resonated with people across generations. Younger artists looked up to him as a role model, while older fans admired his ability to stay strong and relevant. Tom's ability to cross boundaries between genres, ages, and cultures was a rare gift, and he used it to connect with people from all walks of life. He wasn't just a pop star, or a soul singer, or a balladeer. He was all of that and more, rolled into one powerful voice that told a story every time he stepped up to the microphone. As he moved into his 80s, Tom didn't slow down in the way most people expected. Instead, he released new albums, booked tours, and kept his calendar full. He said performing gave him energy and purpose, and the crowds that came to see him felt like extended family. Every show felt like a thank you, a celebration, and a tribute, all in one. And behind all of it was the memory of Linda's biggest supporter and the love of his life, who stayed in his heart every step of the way, even though Tom Jones had already accomplished so much. He never treated his later years like a victory lap. Instead, he saw them as a chance to dig deeper, try new things, and leave behind a legacy that wasn't just about fame, but about meaning. His 2021 album, Surrounded by Time, showed that better than anything on it. He explored personal themes, told stories through other people's songs, and wasn't afraid to sound vulnerable. Songs like I'm Growing Old hit home for fans who had been with him for decades and understood what it meant to age with grace. For Tom, getting older didn't mean giving up or fading out. It meant embracing life more honestly and boldly than ever before. And he didn't just sing about it, he lived it, exercised regularly, took care of his voice, and stayed in touch with younger artists and producers who kept him creatively fresh. He also gave interviews where he talked openly about loneliness, mortality, and the importance of doing what you love for as long as you can. That level of honesty made people love him even more because it showed he was still learning, still feeling, still pushing himself. Tom's willingness to talk about grief and regret also helped fans who were dealing with their own losses. He didn't pretend everything was fine. He admitted that losing Linda shattered him, that for a while he didn't want to sing, and that he had to rebuild himself slowly. He visited the places they had shared together, looked through old photos, and poured his feelings into the music. Performing became a way to stay connected to her, and every time he stepped on stage, it felt like a tribute, not just to her memory, but to their life together. Fans often said, You could feel that emotion in his concerts, that every word, every note, came from a place of deep love and reflection. And still, through all of this, Tom found joy. He laughed in interviews, joked with his fellow judges on The Voice, and even danced a little on stage, proving that he still had his charm and spark. People who went to his shows said they left feeling inspired, like they'd witnessed something rare, living legend who hadn't let life harden him. Tom also became more selective about the projects he took on. He didn't say yes to everything, only choosing work that felt real and important to him. That gave his later music even more weight, because every song had a purpose and every lyric meant something. He also made time for causes that mattered to him, including supporting charities related to cancer, music education, and children's health. He knew how lucky he had been and wanted to give back in ways that made a difference. His connection to Wales stayed strong too. He visited often, spoke proudly of his roots, and supported young Welsh artists trying to break into the music scene. For many people in Wales, he wasn't just a national treasure, he was family. He represented everything good about their culture: strength, humility, and a deep love for music. Even today, when people hear his name, they don't just think of the songs, they think of his story. The way he carried himself through decades of change, and how he always stayed true to who he was. Tom Jones' life isn't just about one hit song or one era of success. It's a story of reinvention, endurance, and heart. From a small town in Wales to the biggest stages in the world, from chart-topping fame to personal heartbreak, he's walked through it all with his head held high. And while his voice may be the thing most people know him for, it's his spirit that really leaves a mark. He's shown the world that real legends don't fade away, they keep shining, one song, one story, one stage at a time. Tom Jones, the legendary Welsh singer known for his deep voice and unforgettable stage presence, has lived a life full of music, fame, and personal trials that most people could only imagine. Born Thomas John Woodward on June 7, 1940, in Pontypridd, South Wales, he grew up in a working-class family where singing was a common part of life. Even as a child, Tom's voice stood out, and it quickly became clear he was destined for more than just a life in the coal mines like many of the men in his town. He married his high school sweetheart, Linda, when he was just 16, and she was pregnant with their only son, Mark. Decision that rooted him early in family life, even as he pursued his dreams. In the early 1960s, Tom began performing with local bands, and his big break came when he signed with Decca Records and released It's Not Unusual, a song that skyrocketed to #1 in the UK and made him a star almost overnight. With that hit, Tom Jones became a household name, known for his soulful voice, his energetic performances, and a charisma that drew fans from all over the world. He followed that success with a string of hits like What's New, Pussycat, Delilah, and She's a Lady, songs that became timeless classics. His appeal crossed generations, with both young fans and their parents showing up to his shows. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Tom became a global sensation, performing in sold-out concerts, television specials, and even his own show. This is Tom Jones, which aired in both the UK and the US. Behind the scenes, though, life wasn't always smooth. His marriage to Linda was filled with ups and downs, especially as Tom's fame grew and he became known for his many affairs with women around the world, something he later admitted publicly. Still, the couple stayed together, with Linda largely avoiding the spotlight and choosing to live a quiet life back in the UK, while Tom toured and lived much of his time in the US. His relationship with his son Mark also became stronger as Mark eventually stepped in to manage his father's career, bringing a business-savvy perspective that helped Tom navigate the changing music industry. In the 1980s and 1990s, Tom's popularity dipped for a while, But he made a massive comeback with the release of his 1999 album, Reload, which featured collaborations with contemporary artists and introduced him to a new generation of fans. Songs like Sex Bomb and his cover of Burning Down the House showed that he could still keep up with the times and stay relevant in a fast-changing world. Tragedy struck in 2016 when Linda passed away after a battle with cancer. A loss that deeply affected Tom and made him reconsider many aspects of his life and career. He spoke openly about the pain of losing her, admitting that he wasn't sure he could go on performing, but ultimately decided to continue as a way of honoring her memory and the life they built together. His performances after her death carried a more emotional tone, with fans often noticing a deeper connection in his music. In recent years, Tom has taken on a role as a mentor and judge on shows like The Voice UK, where he shares his wisdom and experience with new generations of singers, earning respect not just as a performer, but as a guide in the music industry. Even in his 80s, he continues to perform live, proving that age is just a number and talent never fades. His legacy isn't just about the songs he's sung, but also the way he's carried himself through decades of change, challenges, and success. Whether it was adapting to new music styles, staying connected to his fans, or being honest about his personal life, Tom Jones has remained true to himself. He's a living legend, not because he tried to stay in the spotlight, but because he always found a way to shine in it without losing who he was. From his humble beginnings in South Wales to international fame, from heartbreak to comebacks, his story is one of resilience, passion, and a voice that has never stopped reaching people's hearts, even as the world changed around him. Tom Jones always knew how to stay current without losing what made him special in the first place. In the early 2000s, while many singers from his era faded into the background, Tom kept finding new ways to connect with fans. He performed all over the world, released more music, and even started showing up in unexpected places like TV commercials, documentaries, and talk shows, reminding everyone that he wasn't going anywhere. He also began embracing collaborations with younger artists, pairing with bands and musicians far outside his original style. This surprised some people, but it was clear Tom enjoyed experimenting with his sound. What made it work was that he never tried to pretend he was something he wasn't. He brought his classic voice and real emotion to everything, which younger audiences respected. At the same time, his older fans appreciated that he stayed authentic. When he joined The Voice UK as a coach, it marked a new chapter in his life. He didn't just sit there giving advice. He shared real stories from his decades of experience in music, showing care and support for up-and-coming artists. Many contestants looked up to him, not just as a coach, but as someone who'd survived the ups and downs of a long career and still had love for music. He was kind, but honest, giving feedback in a way that inspired people instead of tearing them down. Offstage, Tom started opening up more about his past, his regrets, and how losing Linda changed him. He admitted that her death left a hole in his heart that could never be filled. For years, Linda had been his anchor, the one who knew him before. He was famous and loved him in spite of all his flaws. Without her, Tom said he often felt lost, but music became his way of healing. He dedicated songs to her in his shows, talked about their life together, and fans felt even more connected to him because of his openness. In interviews, he spoke about aging, grief, and purpose with the wisdom that only comes from experience. He didn't try to hide his age or act like he was still 25. He embraced where he was in life and showed that getting older didn't mean losing passion or drive. In fact, many said his performances had more soul than ever before. He also kept surprising people. When he released the album Surrounded by Time in 2021, it debuted at #1 on the UK Albums Chart, making him the oldest male artist to ever achieve that. It was a powerful message to the world that creativity doesn't fade with age. And Tom was still taking risks, telling stories, and making bold choices with his music. The album featured covers and reinterpretations of deep, emotional songs that showed a new side of him, raw, thoughtful, and fearless. Critics praised it, and fans loved how personal and different it felt. Through it all, Tom kept performing live whenever he could. Even in his 80s, he had the energy, the voice, and the charisma to command a stage like few others. He toured across Europe and the US, performing for fans who had followed him for decades and for young people who were just discovering him. His shows were more than just concerts. They felt like celebrations of a life fully lived, full of stories, laughter, and unforgettable moments. Tom also never stopped paying tribute to the people and places that shaped him. He often spoke about his roots in Wales, his childhood in Pontypridd, and how growing up in a hard-working community gave him the strength to keep going no matter what. He donated to charities, supported new Welsh talent, and stayed connected to his homeland even while living much of his life abroad. His story was more than a music career. It was about loyalty, loss, rebirth, and love. Fans admired how he never let fame go to his head and how he owned up to his mistakes. He wasn't perfect, and he never claimed to be. He was human, flawed, passionate, and full of fire even in his later years. That honesty made people feel like they knew him, not just as a singer, but as a person who'd been through a lot and came out stronger on the other side. Tom Jones' journey wasn't just about the music industry or fame. It was also about how a person can grow, fall, rise again, and still keep their heart in the right place. Over the years, Tom built lasting relationships with some of the biggest names in entertainment, from Elvis Presley to Aretha Franklin, and he often shared little-known stories from those times. He once said Elvis called him one of the best voices he'd ever heard, and they even became close friends. Tom would talk about visiting Elvis in Las Vegas, hanging out after shows, and bonding over music and mutual respect. Those connections weren't just bragging rights. They were part of a larger story about how Tom never let success make him forget where he came from or how hard he worked to get there. And while he loved being on stage, he never chased fame just for the sake of it. He said performing was his passion, not a way to get attention. That mindset kept him grounded and helped him last in a world where many others burned out. As the music business changed from records to tapes to CDs and eventually to streaming, Tom adapted without complaint.